Hi guys, this is Geen. In this video, I will teach you how to create impactful designs that inspire people to take actions. Follow these three ingredients in your designs to make it more engaging. First one, an attractive picture. An attractive picture can be an illustration or a photograph or any artwork. The main purpose is to get people's attention. Second ingredient is a simple text, a text without any jargon. And third ingredient is a call to action button, so we can provide room for people to take action right away. So today our design topic is climate change, and we're gonna create an UI card with call to action button in it. So when searching about climate change, we see images of polar bears, earth and trees, earth and dewdrops, even barren lands and flats. So today we are going to avoid all these cliches and we are trying to create something new and creative. So let's start. Let's start by creating a rectangle and give it a width of 1024 and a height 800. Now we can give it a corner radius of 80 pixel and adjust the corner smoothing to its maximum. And adding a black color to it. Now pressing the Ctrl D, we can duplicate this rectangle and give 500 and set the 500 as a height to this duplicate and change its color to white. Now our card's background is ready. Now we can add an attractive picture. In this case, I am going to create an illustration. For that, go to plugins and select Iconify plugin. Inside plugin, search earth and select this earth icon and click on the import icon button. Now let's add a background to this icon. Now let's move this ellipse to the backward. And now let's select the earth icon and let's add a radial gradient to it. You can access this color palette from our Figma community file. The link is in the description. And for the center, we can give this color. Now we can reduce its size little bit. Now let's add a rectangle at the top. Now we can give a gradient, linear gradient to this. Now select the top portions and let's give a corner radius. Now let's add scale to this thermometer. For that I am giving a width of 40 and height 9. And let's give it the same color of earth ocean. After duplicating, click on Ctrl D to repeat the same process. Now let's select every rectangle and move inside into thermometer. And give it a small corner radius. Now select everything and we can group by pressing Ctrl G. And now rename this group as thermometer. So now we can give a small inner shadow to our thermometer group. So let's give x-axis -20 and y-axis -5 and set blur and opacity to 20%. Now we have obtained a subtle 3D look. Now we have to add some micro elements to balance our main element. Our main element is thermometer. So that now I am going to add a star. And giving it a height and width of 120 and corner radius 6. So while choosing these micro elements, try to take elements that are relating to our main subject. So we are adding a soft inner shadow to our star. So here I am going to add another micro element, and that is a line graph. And I am also going to give it a red color. Select the layer and increase its corner radius to obtain a curvy line. Also double click on the line we have just made to adjust its points and curves. Now we can move this back to our thermometer. You can do this by holding Ctrl and left bracket key, or else you can move simply by dragging in the layer stack, dragging down in the layer stack. Now let's add another star to the right of our thermometer by duplicating our main star and change its settings. Using these kind of micro elements with varying size in proportion help you to bring balance in your design visually. Now let's duplicate this rectangle. Reduce its size. Now let's add a grid as a background to our illustration. And let's duplicate this rectangle by holding Alt and drag, and let the spacing between them be 55. Now select both the rectangle and click on Shift A to apply auto layout to it. Now select any one rectangle and press Ctrl D to duplicate it. Now we have created our horizontal lines for our grid. Now let's duplicate this frame. Let's duplicate this frame by holding Ctrl D. By holding Shift, rotate it 90 degree. Select any one rectangle and press Ctrl D to duplicate it again in the same direction. Now select the both frames and let's rename it as grid. Now let's move this grid group to the bottom of the layer stack. Here we can see some portion of the grid is overflowing our main frame 1. To avoid that, so changing the frame 1 corner radius to 80 and maximizing the corner smoothing, and also enable clip content. For now, let's lock our grid layer. Now we can add some depth to our line graph. Now we can give this ellipse a layer blur of 68. Now duplicate the ellipse. Place it somewhere here. Okay, now let's add a soft glow to our thermometer. For that, create an ellipse. This ellipse is currently clipping. It's because this ellipse is inside our thermometer group. Just drag it outside our thermometer group and place it behind the thermometer, and also give it a layer blur of 68. Let's reduce its size little bit. Now let's add another zigzag line. Using these plugin line synthesizer, you can easily create zigzag and sine waves. Since this is inside a frame, you can crop this frame by holding Ctrl and drag. Let's give it a red color. Also cropping this frame to make this wave a little more smaller. Again cropping the frame. And let's increase the stroke width to 4. Now why this is clipping is that this is inside a frame. So select the frame and holding Ctrl, drag on the side, so that you can expand the frame. Now let's reduce the height of this wave. Perfect. Now we have completed our illustration part. Now let's add a simple text. The text I am going to give here is there is no planet B. Here the font I am using is Inter. You can download this font from Google Fonts, and setting the font size to 100. And for planet B, since it is something serious, I am giving a serif font to obtain a contrast, and also giving it a bold italic style. Now select the bold text and giving it a line height of 96. Now let's adjust. Now let's add another text relating to climate change. Like climate change is real. Using the same font, Inter. And let's reduce it font size to 30. And place it somewhere here. So another major ingredient for an effective UI card is a call to action button. So here we are going to create a call to action, but I don't want to add a button in this UI card. So I'm creating it as a hyperlink. And let's rename it as what you can do. In order to grab some attention, we can add a small circle to this. And let's add a gradient, some strong gradient. Fine. Now let's move this to the left of our text. And let's add an auto layout. Let's add an underline to our what you can do, so that people can easily understand that it is a hyperlink. Yes, our UI card is ready. Now as a final touch, we can add noise to our gradient using our noise plugin. Holding Control and drag. Now let's change the blending mode to overlay and reduce its opacity to little bit, somewhat. 40 is enough. Now let's add a shadow to that white area. And move this ellipse to the back of thermometer group. And let's reduce its size. Let's select this E and T and reduce its opacity so that people will read it as plan B. And also extending the noise to that part of the text. Perfect. Now let's add a background. So this is what all I can do to reduce impact of climate change. So now it's your turn. Remember, we are all heading towards a climate catastrophe and it is irreversible. So be more responsible and embrace sustainability. Hope you guys like this tutorial. See you soon with another one. Peace.